Hello and welcome to another vidIQ Wednesday live stream. I'm Dan, joined as always by Mr. Rob. How's it going?
It is that time of the week once again, Dan, where I don the live streaming fingerless gloves. Hello, everybody. Good to see and hear and type to you all once again.
So I didn't know this before the cameras popped on the screen. And as soon as they did, I saw my cat has decided to take a spot on the shelf.
Oh, that's cute.
The cat has entered the backdrop for today. So we can go ahead and cut her out of the shot if we need to. I know how much people around here don't like cats. I'm just kidding. You get to deal with the cat. So today we are talking about a tool that is going to ensure you have the opportunity to make the very best thumbnail you could possibly make for your YouTube videos. But before we do that, there's a couple things we need to do. First and foremost, we're going to be using a tool today called vidIQ. If you didn't know, we are not only a YouTube channel, but we have a whole suite of tools that help creators just like yourselves get better at what you do. So if you want to download those, you can download them for either Chrome or Firefox browsers. They're extensions you can download, and you can get the links down below, and you can try them for free. But if this is your very first time getting vidIQ, you can also take advantage of 30 days of our top tier plan, the Boost plan. This is going to give you access to all the tools you're going to see today, just by virtue of seeing everything on our screen. And you're going to be able to play with all of them. So feel free, check out the 30-day free trial. It should be pinned at the top of chat, I believe. But if not, at any point, you can go check the description and grab it over there. And that is how you're going to see all the different things that are popping up on the screen that you're not familiar with in YouTube, generally speaking. Rob, would you like to say hello to some folks?
Yes, I will say hello and also say that vidIQ is available on Chrome, Firefox, iOS, and Android. So it's also available on mobile. I'm going to say hello to Scoop de Poop. What an awesome channel name there. Herolitical, FNAF Fan 272, Ash Thinks, but the H is a K, so it's like Ash Tings, maybe. I'm not sure. Fame for Less, the French Kid, the Deathly King, and Zeldom. Hello to all of you. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, welcome. If you're brand new, welcome back. If you've been here before, if you're new, out of curiosity, can you give us a hashtag new? If this is your very first live stream here at vidIQ, throw a hashtag new in the chat. Let's say hello to Milan Gamer, HMX Plays. We have Dimitri. I see Welsh Whoopee, Robo Gaming.
Welsh Whoopee, I like that one.
That's pretty good. The Deathly King. King Does Things. So back-to-back different King names there. We have a few new folks here. Okay, so Hydra Collectibles, Dylan, Francine's Hair and Nails. Then we have folks that are just saying old, so I'm guessing you've been here before. Kennedyify, Albertus. I'm trying to pick out all the new people now. Full Creativity and Dark Force.
The chat has gone wild with just two letters, H and I. So a collective hi to all of you.
Yes, hello. So, like I said, a lot of the tools you're going to be seeing today are from the vidIQ Chrome or Firefox extension. Another thing you want to do to get full access to everything is authenticate your channel. So please don't forget to do that as we go through today. So why don't we take a look at where you'll find this handy tool. Now, we call this, it has a few different names. We like to call it the thumbnail preview tool. Because generally when we use it, at least for me, I'm always kind of looking at thumbnails, but you can also compare your titles and things like that as well. Now, the way this works is there's a couple of ways you can find this tool. Either when you upload a new video, it'll be running as the video uploads and you start editing your description. It'll be in there, I believe, right, Rob? It is in there.
Yeah, I think, well, it's essentially in the same places as the edit screen. So maybe it's just best to show them there. But yeah, essentially when you're uploading, they're on that first upload page, you know, because there's about 4 or 5 different sections now in the workflow, isn't it? And it's on the first page, but in a similar layout to where we're going to show you right now.
Yes. So I'm going to pick, let's see here. I'm just kind of looking for a video with maybe a really big search term in it, in the title.
Copyright claims is probably a good one. So just scroll back up a little bit down.
This one.
Yes, that one.
Okay. So either you're uploading the video or you're editing the description and adding the thumbnail after the fact. And we have a lot of our tools here. You've probably noticed the tags that you can add just by clicking them down here. All kinds of stuff lives in here. The best time to post, all that great stuff. What we're talking about is technically called preview and search results. So here's how it works. The video title we have here is how to remove copyright claims from your YouTube videos. I would say a lot of people search for probably just that. Maybe they truncate it a little bit.
They certainly do.
So
copyright claims in general is a big YouTube search term.
So I'm just going to say remove copyright claims, I think.
Yep.
So not even how to. So a string of characters that I imagine a lot of people have typed on YouTube at one time or another. And we're going to see just how many videos rank for this term. But I'm going to be very clear here. Everything you're seeing is videos that kind of rank at the top for this term right now. And it's very important to know that your video, which in this case, we're looking at the second one down here, your video, you can do this before you publish your video, which means we have no idea if your video is going to rank at the top. This tool is not promising you a ranking. What it's doing, though, is saying, hey, by the way, if you happen to rank at the top, this is what your thumbnail is going to look like alongside everybody else who's ranking at the top for this particular string of keywords. So just want to make that distinction very, very clear. Now, we always see the video kind of second to everything on the list. So whenever you're looking for your video, it has this nice little gray outline around it. That's how we know this is the video we're comparing everything to. And we actually have our own video here, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
So we're already ranking pretty well for the search term. And then we have some other folks here. So you can just kind of get a really quick bird's eye view at what kinds of things people are doing in this space. I have to say, I really like our thumbnail by comparison here.
I like it. Yeah, let's just scroll to the top, Dan. Let's ask the audience here. Of the 4 thumbnails that you can see here, and just be honest about this. I mean, granted, we are occupying 2 of those spots. So you haven't got too much of a choice there. But which do you think is the best thumbnail out of all 4 of these? And so you just, I guess, 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yes. Out of these 4 thumbnails. And as you answer that, I also want to point out the different titles. So you might not know what the title of this video is going to be yet. You haven't posted it and you're trying to think, well, what, I know it's about removing copyright claims, but what is everyone else posting? Remember, we took out how to, and yet the top 3 results, okay, 2 of them being ours here. How to. One of the top results right now uses how to remove copyright claims on YouTube, 2020 for beginners. Now it's 2021, so this is due for an update, which is great for us. Film Booth, who we've actually talked to on the Tube Talk podcast.
We have, yeah.
What do you do when you get a copyright claim on YouTube? Removing copyright claims. Pretty interesting. 60,000 views 6 months ago. They posted this. So there are a lot of ideas here for how you could be titling your video. Let's see what folks are saying. So I'm seeing 2. I'm seeing 3. Someone said 2 and 4. Film Booth did a good job. I have to say, if you're going to put someone in the thumbnail, this is a good way to do it. They're making eye contact with the lens. They're very clear. Not that this channel did a bad job either. Let's see here.
I think maybe, Dan, once we've gone through the tool, maybe we'll come back here and just scrutinize the thumbnails a little bit more and talk about why these might be good thumbnails. Because we're talking here about the tool itself, but I'm sure we're going to get questions as to, this is all very interesting, but how do I make a good thumbnail? So maybe we'll highlight some of the key points of these thumbnails in a moment. Yeah,
we're going to dive a little bit deeper on that. So let's show you some of the other features of this tool, because there's actually quite a few. We can see, obviously, the titles, the thumbnails. We can see a little bit of the description, and we have our description here, which is great. Now, we're on the search screen right now. There's actually 2 tabs, if you noticed. This is how your video is going to look alongside videos that rank for the search term. But what about the home screen, which can be a complete mess, because everybody watches all kinds of different videos on a regular basis on YouTube. So how does your thumbnail stack against any assortment of videos on YouTube? Any potential home screens here? So let's see. So just some of the things on our own home screen right now, I presume. It's just shoving our thumbnail right in the middle. Like, here's what your thumbnail looks like against just other videos out there on YouTube right now that might be pushed to people. And we see there's actually a copyright video right there, which is kind of interesting. I would say, just looking at those, I do prefer ours. We have YouTube Shorts Explained. Think Media has made a video about underrated cameras, which looks really striking. There's this big red thumbnail here. I noticed the red. It takes me a minute to like adjust my eyes when I see all that red and go, oh, okay, there's words there. 10K subscribers in 18 days. Interesting. And then we have a video from Creator Insider. I still like the thumbnail compared to all these.
Yeah, there's two things on the screen. First of all, Dan, what this is currently doing is this is comparing against competitors.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so these are people that we sort of follow from the competitor tools, which we covered in a previous webinar. So Dan, if you want to click that now, and hopefully that should now give us a completely random comparison.
There we go.
I know there's still some familiar ones there, but I know we're not subscribed to NBC News, and I don't think we're subscribed to Mr. Beast on this channel that we're using. So yeah, this could be a random collection of channels. And then if you compare against competitors again, then you're a little bit more focused. The second thing I would like people to do right now, and I'm reading Daryl Eve's book here about a YouTube formula, and he suggests, I know this is going to sound really weird, folks, but everybody just try this for a second, Dan, yourself included. So just close your eyes for 5 seconds and think happy thoughts. But what I also want you to do is then almost like blink for a second at the images on screen, and then which one did stick out more? Like, is there one of those thumbnails that grabbed your attention as soon as you opened your eyes? And for me, it was a little bit that red one, just because of the bright red color, but also our, I think our thumbnail was maybe second there. So there is maybe something interesting there in using bright reds on thumbnails. Kind of doesn't really fit our color branding, but we also have the YouTube logo in there. So that's a bit of viewer psychology to experiment with there as well.
For me, it was this YouTube Shorts logo. My eye just kept getting drawn to it. And it's big and red, and they've filled most of the frame with it. So that definitely is a good test. I don't know if this red background was really doing it for me. There was a splotch of red there, but there's so much going on in it that my eye was more attracted to the Shorts logo. I recognized it almost immediately. Yeah. But everyone will probably have a little bit of a different take. Someone else said for me it was Shorts. So yes, it is important. You set up your own competitors. We did show that off in a previous live stream. And as long as you've done that, if you check this, you're going to see videos more in line with what's going on in your space. But it is important to look, I think, like comparing us to Mr. Beast's video, I think is very realistic. As a lot of people watch Mr. Beast, very good odds that his video will be sitting there for somebody scrolling through the home feed that day. So moving on, another really cool thing you can do, whether you're on the search tab or the home screen tab, let's start with search, is you can actually change what your thumbnail looks like on like a certain device. So this is tablet mode we're seeing now, and we kind of have an outline of a tablet here. And this is cool because both tablet and in smartphone mode, this really gets you thinking like, now hang on desktop, we know thumbnails are ginormous. They look great depending on what screen you're on. They could be huge. But on a tablet and on a phone, it's a lot more limited in terms of real estate. Does your thumbnail look good when it's in mobile mode? Now, I can even start scrutinizing some of these right now. This third one down, I can't read this text anymore.
But the film booth one still holds up to scrutiny, doesn't it? Because you can still read "Don't Panic," although now the copyright symbol is hidden a little bit by the timestamp. So there's all of these interesting nuances, and of course, most people watch content on a mobile phone. So this is one that's really important to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we're always talking about, and I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit, and we're always talking about making things fill out the frame really nice. Another thing we talk about is using big, bold text, and this is exactly why right here, looking at this in mobile mode. And then, of course, you can switch to home screen as well. So but we have the home feed on mobile, we can do competitor mode again, and we have the home feed on tablet, which is cool because now we're seeing even more videos thanks to how big that tablet is. But again, very, very small thumbnails. And we got a YouTube short that found its way in here. So we're not, probably even comparing against that really. But these are all good things to do. And again, this is all things you can do before you hit publish.
That's
so
the
there's
key
no
thing.
excuse.
That is the key thing.
There's no excuse to not have the very best thumbnail you can possibly make. So do you want to start? Maybe we look at a different set now and maybe start picking apart the different thumbnails.
Yeah, we can do if you feel like it.
All right. What about ready to quit YouTube? That could be an interesting one.
Oh, it's a race. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Maybe are you too self-conscious about this thumbnail? Do you not
want?
No,
not necessarily. I just don't know what the results are going to come up when you're going to do a search.
How about
I've already thought of a couple of things for copyrights, but let's try this one.
Okay, should I quit YouTube? I even did it all lowercase. You're in a hurry. You're sad. Should I quit YouTube? All right. So we have a few interesting things here. We have one from Nick Nimmin. This video will keep you from quitting YouTube. Obviously ours here in comparison. Now, looking at some of these, Nick Nimmin talks about this a lot.
Yeah, he does. Hope he's not thinking of quitting soon.
Looking at some of these, I appreciate Nick Nimmin's like emotional draw here. He looks concerned and sad and a little hopeful in this one, I would say. He's always done a very good job with his thumbnails, though. His text is always big, bold, and beautiful. It's very easy to see. This one's pretty good. Someone just crying, center frame. And then I would say my least favorite, even though the red background's kind of cool, would be this one, because this almost feels like one of those videos you would see like a corporate presentation or something, like an animated something or other, and you can't really read what's going on right here. This doesn't really speak to me in terms of like quitting YouTube, which is a sad thing, you know? What do you think?
Yeah, I guess you're looking at this on a full screen, and on my screen, because I'm watching through the StreamYard's output. I can't read the text at all on that one, and it looks as if there's somebody sitting on a stack of papers. I don't understand. Am I right there? I don't know.
It's like coins or something.
Right. I don't know what that has to do with the concept of quitting YouTube. And then, I think if you look at all of the other ones, especially the Nick Nimmin ones and the skateboarding one, the Norris Nuts, they're called, there's a strong draw for emotion, because this is less to do with search intent. Well, there is some search intent, of course, but it's as much to do with the emotional connection and relationship with the viewer. I think mine is a little bit more whimsical, a bit. It's sort of less about emotion and more about the question and the journey. So I'm not even sure if I quite got this thumbnail right. You know, I could maybe tweak this a little bit. I know that Nick often does use text in his thumbnails, which we often talk about a lot, but he does it very effectively. A couple of small things in his thumbnail is, as you say, Dan, he has that certain facial expression where it's sort of thinking, or there's a raised eyebrows there, so maybe there's a bit of optimism there. There's obviously little nuances in the facial expression, but in the text, you've noticed that he uses different, strong, vibrant colors, yellows, blacks, and reds that all contrast with each other. But then he's circled in green the before word, so he's drawing your attention to that. So there's all these little things that are happening in this thumbnail, but at the same time, it's relatively simple and straightforward for you to, again, close your eyes, blink, look at it for a second, and can you get the gist of that thumbnail? And I think the answer is yes. On, I think, 3 of these thumbnails, number 3, though, I'm not a particular fan of. But again, opinions in the comments, because every viewer is going to have a little bit of a different perspective on how they perceive an image in the title.
One thing we didn't say earlier too, before we keep going, is we are doing a Q&A. We do this every Wednesday, and we always do a nice long Q&A for you guys. Yep. So if you're starting to get some questions about what we think about different thumbnails and things like that, or YouTube in general, we'll be answering your questions here soon. So please get ready for that. Write your questions down, and we'll start doing that soon. I want to just look at the home screen real quick and turn off competitor mode. And
so I'll look at the thumbnail.
Yeah,
I like my topography. I like how it's designed on screen, with some nice big text. And then me looking, I mean, Dan, I remember asking you, Dan, about this when I was making this thumbnail. Like, should I have that little YouTube logo in there? Because I felt as if it needed some connection to a YouTube channel in there, and you weren't so sure. And maybe that logo is a bit too big. But this is where my I'm hitting my Photoshop skill set ceiling where I'm not sure how else to depict the YouTube logo. And I just thought putting it in the sun would be a good idea. And it kind of, there's a kind of a question there is the sun setting or is the sun rising? With the question. That's all of the things that were running through my head as I was making this thumbnail. But I don't think it's too bad looking at it again.
No, it's something about it is still jumping out at me because it's something about the space in the middle. You know, you just start to, your eyes kind of drawn. What's going on there? And it's somebody looking over a horizon. And yeah, I think there's some intrigue there. And then you get to the text. Is it over? Is what over? Oh, quitting YouTube. I've thought about quitting YouTube, you know. It kind of, I do like it for that. I think it kind of takes you on that like journey where it raises an interesting question. And you're like, wait, what's going on? Oh, you know, a video about quitting YouTube. I'm actually thinking about that. This is very hard. So
if I was to rate this thumbnail in my 1 to 10 of thumbnail creation, I would give this a 5.5 or a 6. But I'm very critical when it comes to somebody asking me to give a rating to something. Like when I say 5, I actually mean this is fine, because usually rate mediocre stuff as 6 and 7. Whereas when I say a 5, I actually mean it was okay, not great, not fantastic.
Yeah, there's definitely other things, as we've seen, that you could have tried. You could still try if you want to, and yeah, I don't think any of those are wrong, except this one here that we've decided we're not really sure what's going on there. So that's that one. Do you want to scrutinize any more before we move on to Q&A?
What I will just say, Dan, if you just go back to the tool itself, one thing that you can do while you're in the tool is, because we're focusing a lot here on the thumbnail, but you can adjust the title and description at the same time. So over on the right hand side, if you decided, oh, somebody's using a slightly different title and I may adjust mine to suit, you can do that all in this tool, and then you can add the changes to the video. So you don't have to close this screen down and then make the changes. You can do it on the fly here. I think you can you change the thumbnail in here as well? I guess
it looks like you can pick a freeze frame, and you can change the thumbnail in here.
So you can change everything within tool as well, which is pretty helpful. And you can also change the search term as well if you want to. Instead of "should I quit YouTube," you could reset it here as well if you need to.
I didn't mean to take that for granted, because having to click out of something and then remember, wait, what was the phrase that Nick Nimmin used that I wanted to copy? Yeah. Okay, got it. You know, have to go back and forth. So you can do that all right here. You just got to make sure you remember to hit add changes to video. You can even preview, which is kind of cool. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Is there another one you wanted to?
Well, let's since we've scrutinized some of my thumbnails, Dan.
Oh, sure.
It's your turn. It is your turn.
All right. I don't know if would this be a good one. I'm trying to remember even what's the rest of the title here. This one was all about getting people to click. You know, what is the secret? I don't know what the term here would be.
Well, so let's do I don't know, YouTube gaming secret, because this may influence us to change the title a little bit. Because I would say it's fair to say, Dan, that this video so far has underperformed a little bit for us, and it's not doing terrible. Yeah, as you can see. So I would class this, like in performance terms, a 4 out of 10. And that's not to say that the video is bad, but the performance of it isn't that good. Oh, just go back to the analytics again, because I guess our intent here was search. So it's not getting that much search. So this is where I may start to think about changing the title to maybe, you know, kickstart, reboot the search aspect of this. So sorry, continue.
No, you're right. And this could be very interesting. So YouTube gaming secret is one direction to go in, but if we were to start to think about, based off the analytics, what we'd want to retitle this video, we could also use this tool to test that out and see, well, what kind of videos rank for such a term. Now, I can't think of one right now, so I'll stick with what we got here.
Okay, so
what do we have?
It's the technical Guruji with 5 million views there on something. Now, this would suggest that the search that we've done doesn't really work, does it? It's too close. It's too familiar to, except for the top result, it's too familiar to gaming secrets. So maybe we need to think about, you know, it is YouTube gaming channels, isn't it? like how to improve your YouTube gaming channel, or let's just do YouTube gaming channels. But I know what's going to come up if you do this, Dan. People are going to think we're showing off, but we aren't.
Right. How to start.
So it might, we might want to go back to how to grow your YouTube gaming channel with this secret, or with this strategy. I mean, as a title, I feel as if grow a gaming channel is where we've had or start a YouTube gaming channel is where we've had success before. As you can see, we were ranked number 3 there. Now you see, this is where the thumbnail tends to fit the mold of what's in this list, but it's competing against some very similar and high quality thumbnails.
It is. It very much is.
Yeah. Because it's a competitive part of the YouTube growth space.
Mm-hmm. So what I wouldn't change about my thumbnail here, if we were thinking about changing the title, is the actual text. Huge gaming secret. Because we always talk about how to grow your channel and how to start a channel. Like that's a search term we've played with a lot. But what we don't talk about a whole lot is something, a secret, a hack, a trick. And that's what this video is trying to promote. And that's what it does promote if you watch it. So that's the part I wouldn't change. Now, could I make the imagery bigger and flashier? Yes. Could I make the text itself more readable somehow? Of course. But I wouldn't change the actual wording in it.
I might play around with the question mark. That's one thing I might look at, making the question mark bigger to add intrigue and mystery to the thumbnail. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily change the text itself. But having a large question mark but next to 20 characters, that becomes a challenge in itself because you haven't got that much room to play with on a small thumbnail.
Correct. Yeah, I'd probably get rid of, I thought filling in some negative space with these was a good idea. I'd probably get rid of those in favor of making this part just bigger, just a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. Cutting the YouTube logo off in the corners almost, making it, that large.
So I think what we're trying to say, Dan, I hope you're all finding this interesting in that we're having like just a YouTube chat here about thumbnails, and this tool is helping us do this. So imagine if you hadn't published your video yet, and so you were playing around with all of these different titles and then comparing them against the best thumbnails for each search term. As Dan says, this is not a guarantee that your video will succeed, but if you are able to make a thumbnail that stands out against the best thumbnails in that search term, then you're theoretically increasing your click-through rate, which means that at least people can get into the video. Of course, the content then has to deliver, so that hopefully, fingers crossed, you do start to rank higher and higher. And because of the quality of the thumbnail, it will continue to rank higher and higher and get more clicks wherever it appears on YouTube.
Right. Well, I think we're just about ready for Q&A.
Yeah, let us know what you think of this tool in the chat. Have you used this tool before? Are there any improvements that you could possibly suggest for this tool? Because we're always keen on your feedback on all of the tools that we have. And as you can see in the ticker right now and in the description, you can have full access to this tool and everything else at vidIQ. I think even with the free version, if you haven't used the tool before, you get 3 previews, so you can do free searches. I can't remember if that's per month or just 3 and you're done. So every single person who's watching this live stream now who hasn't used this tool before can at least experiment with it if they can't get access to the full trial.
I would really encourage you to use it on your next video. Another thing I would encourage before we jump into Q&A is you really need to take time and invest in your thumbnail education. Learn the software of your choosing. So whether it's Photoshop or one of the other many free photo editing softwares out there, take time to sit down, use YouTube itself. It is a tool that is here for all of us, and find courses that teach you how to do this. We also have our own thumbnail course in the vidIQ Academy that'll help you level up your thumbnail skills. So these are all ways that you can invest in yourself. Whenever we talk about investing in yourself, we're not just saying drop money on something. We're saying level up your skills. Take the time to do this. I still watch sometimes very basic video editing or Photoshop tutorials because sometimes you can learn a lot from someone's process, even if they're showing things off that you already know, because there's so many different ways to use all these tools. So there's so many things you can learn to be better at making thumbnails. So if you're watching all this and going, gosh, I couldn't think to even make a thumbnail like the ones we saw today, I don't know where to start, then what you need to do is start by educating yourselves on becoming better at this.
Dan, yesterday I was looking at how to crop a layer in Photoshop. And I discovered that it's just not easy to do, which still infuriates me. I would love to be able to crop just a layer where I need to, because right now what I need to do is take the image, put it in Snagit, crop it, and then copy and paste it back into Photoshop.
I use a separate Photoshop project. I crop it, and then I have to copy that and then take it back into it's why does the crop tool work that way? It's so frustrating.
Who knows?
But yes,
still, Photoshop's good for making thumbnails.
But now you know, and even though it's a frustrating process, you now know where to go to save you the time in the future from having to look that up. And little things like that stack, and you start to just become better and better and better.
Let's do a bit of housekeeping now then, Dan. We have currently 192 people. Oh, it's gone down. 186 people watching.
We've offended them.
And we have 245 likes. So somehow we've got likes inception once again. But if anybody else hasn't liked the video yet and they are enjoying this, then make sure to do so. There we are at 250 likes. Thank you very much. I have now enabled slow mode in the chat, which means that you can post every 30 seconds. This isn't because we don't like hearing what you have to say. It's so that we can slow down the chat at least a little bit so that we can read questions, because the chat goes so fast. We may even slow it down a little bit more. Dan, I may experiment with 60 seconds later on. And I want to reintroduce a section that we did just by chance last week, but I thought it was so good, Dan, that I want us to do it again this week at some point in the live stream. So if you remember last week, if you were here, we started doing some shout outs for achievements. I want to kind of make that a bit of a semi-weekly thing, maybe a weekly thing here on the Q&A. So if you know how to use the achievement tool, which we showed you how to use last week, or you get achievements, then please share them to us on Twitter if you have access to Twitter. So that would be at vidIQ, and include the hashtag vidIQ milestones, and we will start shouting out some of you in the next 20 or 30 minutes just to celebrate your success. So that's one thing I wanted to add to this live stream, Dan, if you don't mind, sir.
No, that'd be great. I didn't get to tell you this before we started, but I do need to leave like 10 minutes earlier than we normally end. So get your
questions in, folks.
Yeah.
Get your questions in.
We got time though. We have over an hour still. So lots of time to answer your questions. And everyone's already using hashtag question. Let's go ahead and change the ticker right now to remind everybody. That really helps us out. Hashtag question helps us see your questions in chat. And that means other folks can have their conversations on the side and everyone is happy.
Let's start with Herolitical, and this is a quick question, which we'll answer. Yes, you should still add tags to your videos because it's very easy to do with a tool like vidIQ. Just as an example, I'll do this very quickly on screen, actually. Just bear with me 1 second. I just need to get to the right place. Right, I'm going to show you how to do this very quickly on screen now. So let's say you want to do a video on frames per second on Fortnite. I'm just going to do that as a very quick. Now, I've spelt Fortnite wrong. But again, Fortnite. So with vidIQ installed, if I click enable inline keywords at the top right hand corner here, we get all of these tags, and all I have to do is click that button, which is going to copy all of those tags. Then I can paste it into my own video, delete the ones I don't want. And with vidIQ Boost, it's going to recommend some more tags. You can add them. And that all takes about 2 minutes, less than it's taken me to explain it. And so that's, I think, how much effort you should spend on adding tags. That's pretty much what I do right now, because I'm focusing on the title and the thumbnail.
I do think that you should read through them too and just make any tweaks. You know, if something's in there that's not in your video, take it out, replace it.
Channel names is usually the one that you need to remove. Channel names, and maybe if we're talking maybe about Apex frames per second, because if we're doing a comparison, you might want to remove that. If you're just talking about Fortnite, just use your instinct and intelligence on what tags you might want to remove.
Yeah, they're still there. It's a box you certainly shouldn't leave empty. All right, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got?
Gonna try this one. Shounen X Striker. What colors should you use in thumbnails most of the time? This can be dependent on your topic and how possibly you can contrast your colors to others. A good example of this is Brian G. Johnson in our YouTube educator space, who sometimes uses sickly greens and yellows, which look completely different to everything else in the education space. And he's using that to try and stand out. Nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Also, remember when you're making your thumbnails that you only want to use, I would say at most, 3 dominant colors, and colors that kind of complement each other. For example, we use blue predominantly, red for the familiarization with the YouTube logo, and then green as a positivity for a green arrow or, a green graph. If you use too many colors, then again, as you shrink that thumbnail down, it gets more chaotic, more cluttered, and especially more muddy with more colors. I'm going to keep repeating this a little bit, I think, throughout this live stream, because I think what Daryl says in his book is really interesting. Go to your channel, click on the video tab so you can see a collection of your thumbnails, and then close your eyes for five seconds, and then just blink. And if your eye is being immediately drawn to certain thumbnails, it means that they have a good focus and are not too cluttered. If you just blink and your eye doesn't really focus on anything, it's because there's too much on screen, there's too many elements, too much chaos. Just experiment with it. Just try it after this live stream. Sorry, Dan. Please take it away with things you've learned from, I think, especially your secret channel, because I know you're doing some fun stuff on there.
Well, as you know, it's a pretty big shorts channel, so I don't focus too much on thumbnails to begin with. But my big thing with thumbnails is, simpler is better. Make them as simple as you can make them, and that doesn't mean spend 2 minutes on them and be done. What I mean by that is don't overproduce them. Don't throw so many elements at it, because, well, in the video, it's my top 5 favorite companies. And so I'm going to put the logo of my top 5 favorite companies. Or maybe I'll blur them for intrigue. Boom, 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 boom. No, that's put maybe one of them and number 3 next to it or something like that. Less is more when it comes to thumbnails. And you really want to also reduce negative space. So those are my tips. I wouldn't say there's any hard and fast rules. We can't tell you, the 3 colors you should always use in your thumbnails is red and yellow and white. That's not really how it works. Like Rob said, it really depends on your topic first.
I'm just going to use these 2 thumbnails as an example. You see this one I'm mousing over now?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, this is a good thumbnail. It's very colorful, very bright, but it feels as if there's a bit too much text on there, and it's at different, I guess, corners of the thumbnail.
Well, yeah, let's go
ahead.
And
then when I compare it against, I think this one, which is a lot more simple, but it gives you the core information very easily. You're tripling your frames per second, and it's for a new version of the game. Which is better, do you think there, Dan? I think this one is more professionally produced. Yeah. More time has been taken on it, but I feel as if this one connects with you more instantly. Just as 2 random examples I'm picking up on this list.
It's a less is more thing, just like we said. If you scroll up, those 2, there's 2 there that I would say are too busy, and it's the one you pointed at and the one right below it. Look at the one you were pointing at, though. So we have the creator, their face. We have new. We have this is OP. We have 3x FPS. Then we have an FPS counter, and then there's a tiny little image below that. At the very top there, you notice an arrow coming out of the creator's head and going up to performance alpha, I believe that says. That is a lot of elements that I think and while this creator has a ton of subscribers and gets some pretty decent views, I think their thumbnails could probably be stand to be a little less busy, honestly.
Yeah. I'm sure the creator themselves would argue that they've done the testing and
they've done their testing, right?
Colorful chaos works with Fortnite, and that might be true. So I want to give a counter argument there.
But you're right, and that's the thing too. Like I said a minute ago, there's no hard and fast rules. There's no all thumbnails should be this one way, otherwise you're doing it wrong. It's not possible to say that. So that creator might have, who knows, if we went through the thumbnail journey, maybe they started exactly as we're saying and noticed better results the more information they put in their thumbnail. It's very possible they know their audience that well. And yeah, so cool. Take from that what you will.
I will sit back now, Dan, and let you pick the next question because I've done
All right.
I think
I will update the comments here and let's see. Really quick, I'll answer this one. Should I continue making thumbnails for my shorts even though the shelf is now on my channel? I would, because of that shelf on the channel, I've started adding thumbnails to my shorts, but my personal rule for this is keep them as simple as possible. So I literally take a freeze frame of the video before I cut it into short mode, because I record everything 16:9, so it fits the frame anyway. I take a freeze frame and I throw it aside. I edit my video. I make it a short, make it, vertical or square, whatever I'm going to do. And then I take it in Photoshop and I literally just zoom in on the most interesting thing. And that's the thumbnail. Sometimes I'll add some saturation to it or something like that, but I don't cut out characters. I don't add text. I don't blur the background like I would on regular YouTube. I just want it to look nice on the front page of my channel. And if someone happens to see it and browse later in the future, at least there's something there.
It's annoying, isn't it? I'm still questioning why YouTube have done this, but as you can see on our channel, I'm making thumbnails for my shorts, but I'm using a very basic template. They're all pretty much the same thing right now, YouTube updates. So I just include some text. I don't know if that's the right solution. Maybe I should just have a YouTube logo that says update and then maybe an icon next to it. I'm still playing about with that idea. But as you say, Dan, I'm not really making the thumbnail thinking I'm going to get a lot of clicks off it. I'm now making thumbnails because I don't want my front page of my YouTube channel to look ugly.
Yeah.
What I'm still thinking, like, I think there's two reasons why YouTube have done this. I think they're realizing that people are watching shorts on desktop. That can be the only explanation why because it was hidden before. So why do we need it now? So I think YouTube have put it there because people want to watch shorts on desktop. And I also think they're going to integrate into the Explore tab as well. I think there's going to be a shorts button here or something, or a shorts tab down here, so that people can watch shorts on desktop as well. And does that mean that desktop YouTube is going to have a shorts player as well? A lot of unanswered questions. Yeah, on the shorts channel, for example, we don't make any thumbnails. And so the shorts channel looks like that, and it's just ugh.
Yeah,
but I need it there for the mobile shelf.
Well, on the vidIQ channel, the regular vidIQ channel, you can stand to move that short shelf down. It will still appear on mobile,
but on mobile it will appear lower down as well.
It will, yes, it will.
And I want it at the top on mobile, I think, because I think there's more chance of shorts being watched on mobile. So there's there's a balancing act. So again, YouTube, you've annoyed me by doing that.
Yeah, it was very, but it could be a hint. We don't know. They may throw a short shelf on desktop just to test it, and we'll all freak out, and then they won't like their test and remove it. So you just never know with YouTube what's going to happen. But that's all the more reason you should put something in that frame if you have the time. But I wouldn't stress about it if you prefer not to.
Do you know that vertical videos from years ago count as shorts? Yes, I do, because I think when I first started looking at shorts 6 months ago, people who didn't realize that shorts were going to be a thing and made vertical videos from years ago were suddenly seeing a huge influx of views on their videos. Yep. And there's probably, I would say, at least 1,000 subscribers who have long since abandoned YouTube. And now all of a sudden, if they check their emails or they check their analytics, they'll think, oh, wow, I've suddenly got 1 million views from somewhere. Where did they come from? And that's the shorts effect. I think that's going to be losing its impact as more and more new shorts come onto YouTube. But yeah, anything that has potential value, fun, entertainment, etc., that YouTube can fish out from the archives, they're going to appear as shorts. I think what was the example I used? It was a laser sound effect. Dan, talk, and I'll try and find that.
I found another question, but
well, go on, bring up the question. I just want to find an example.
Okay. So I have the question brought up, but I don't want to.
Right, go ahead, start answering.
All right. Well, the question from Make Crafts and Fun is, how do you make them, and what software do you use to make them thumbnails? And thanks for answering. You make great videos. Thank you so much. So I use Photoshop, and in terms of how, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically, there's a few things. Like I said before, as few elements as possible. I try not to do more than 3. So that could be me making a fun face, the YouTube logo, and some text. I always seem to use some kind of text, but because I can't seem to get away from it. And with our space, it's pretty widely accepted, the topics we cover here at vidIQ. And that text, usually I try not to make it over 3 words if I can help it. And I don't try to repeat the title in the thumbnail text. I try to, just like that secret one we showed earlier, huge YouTube secret. Well, I'm trying to draw intrigue, and the title is going to be a lot different than that text. So I really benefit from the real estate of both the title and the thumbnail. So those are just some general tips.
I found that video that I just want to show about
Okay.
the shorts. So this video, are you able to hide that question and quickly bring it back down?
Yes. Yeah.
So can you see at the bottom there, this video was published on November the 16th, 2014. So 6 years before shorts. And you see the view counts here. Did basically nothing for about 6 years. And then as soon as shorts were introduced at the beginning of August last year, bang. So YouTube's going to be going through the library of old stuff and bringing it up. I mean, it doesn't really help anyone, to be honest, unless you made a short 6 or 7 years ago, and you can maybe include hashtag shorts, get YouTube to start promoting it. But that was the example I remembered when I was first covering shorts before they had a name. Right. You can bring up the question again now. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I make them with a combination of Snagit and Photoshop. I usually start with a template, which is actually the background that we're using in this live stream right now. I'm still reverse engineering the way that you're supposed to do it, I think, in that, generally speaking, the idea is that you should already have a title and a thumbnail made before you start the video. And I need to start adopting that, I think. I need to do that a little bit more, because I often make the video and then the following day I'll upload it and optimize it, and then I'll start to think about exactly what title and thumbnail I want to make. And just through experience, I can often do a decent job of that, but every so often I find myself just not having any clue about the thumbnail that I want to make. In fact, let's do this right now, Dan, because I'm tearing my hair over this one. It's a video about quality versus quantity.
Okay.
But I know that quality versus quantity doesn't necessarily work as a search topic. So I'm using the formula as if you're starting a new channel. Do this or you will not regret this. And so this is what the thumbnail currently looks like. And I'm not sure if this works. The second thumbnail I created for this, let's see if I can find this. Right, I'll just take it off the screen so you can't see my file structure. But I will change the thumbnail. Just bear with me 1 second, folks. I just need to find the thumbnail. So the alternative one, Dan, is this. So this one, when I first made it, I thought, this feels a bit meh, because there's some elements on here and I don't necessarily know if they work, and like, do I need a bit more of emotion and some intrigue as to, seriously, is this going to be an idea that works? So I was just wondering what your thought was on this, Dan. Do you think this thumbnail works or the previous one?
Well, what's interesting is when you started talking about this, I was expecting to see side by side, but I was trying to think of what goes in each of those frames, and this might be a little too edgy, maybe. But here's what I'm thinking: you might have to lean on some text here, but you could do 10 at the top, videos at the bottom, and in the middle a poop emoji, or you could do 1 at the top, video at the bottom, and then in the middle like a trophy.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, actually. I guess what I'm trying to avoid is revealing exactly what the strategy is. And I feel as if that might be revealing too much, because I'm worried that if people look at it and say, oh, it's another one of these quality versus quantity videos, they're not even going to click into it. Now, maybe I'm thinking a bit too much share of the clickbaitiness. I want people into content, and then hopefully they're going to stay. But yeah, I might try that actually. I think there's potential there.
Yeah, I think I would say you need to suggest something, and hopefully without spoiling your thoughts on it before people get into the video, but suggesting that one is not as good as the other, because it's probably the conclusion you're drawing. Although I kind of know your thoughts on this, so you probably do. At the end of the video, leave it up to everybody.
Do you think this thumbnail then is too generic and vague?
I think it is just that. I like it for all the reasons I like. I would tell people, hey, these are the things. You have 3 elements. They're all very big and clearly legible and things like that. But you could put this on just about any vidIQ video. I think.
I know. Yeah, seriously, Rob's suggesting this again.
You should save this thumbnail, and every time you post a video unlisted, you know how sometimes people find it. That should be the thumbnail every single time, because it's a placeholder.
You just give me a thought.
It's like a spare tire.
When people find my unlisted videos and say I'm first, I might just put a holding thumbnail that says, "For God's sake, stop finding these videos," hidden or whatever. We're sending personal messages to people via the medium of thumbnails.
Yeah, hidden little vidIQ Easter eggs.
Okay, well, again, interesting conversation that we're having there about thumbnails. I wasn't looking at the chat there, but I don't know if there was any thoughts that came out there. But yeah,
a lot of unanswered questions, but you're welcome. Let's see here. I
got some super stickers. Let's just say thanks for super stickers.
Yes,
come through.
I see one here that I'm trying to click on. It won't let me.
Let's try. Can
Osei gave us $1.99. And then we have Buff Gamer, who gave us 9 NOK. I don't know what.
I think that's Norwegian krona.
Okay, gotcha. So thank you so much for the super stickers. Certainly appreciate it. All right. Let's see here. There's a couple questions I'm looking at. I'm just trying to see how to answer these. And then it doesn't help the chat keeps moving while I'm trying to do that. Oh boy.
Let's look at
I'll
this
let
one.
you, yeah.
Oh no, hang on. Sorry, I do apologize. I didn't want to answer that one. Sometimes the chat jumps just as we're clicking on it, so we picked the wrong question. We do apologize if we pick one and then we don't actually answer it. Are YouTube shorts good for piano music videos? Thank you so much for extension, etc., etc. I think the honest answer is yes. I think any type of content is good for shorts if you can figure out how to make it a shorts style piece of content. So with music, I'm thinking that not only do you need a strong audio pull, which is in music, but I think something visually connecting it as well. I don't think you can just get away with cover versions as shorts unless it's a particularly powerful voice or unique music style. Dan, I don't know if you'll remember this person or if you're even aware of this in the US. Was it on America's Got Talent? You remember there was somebody called Susan Boyle who came on to an audition thing.
That was Britain.
Britain's Got Talent. She was wearing a frumpy dress. She was middle-aged, and they just thought it was going to be another joke act. But then she started singing, and she had the most powerful voice I'd ever heard. So there was that shock moment. It's like, wow, God, I wasn't expecting that. I feel as if music style content is going to need that a little bit in shorts.
One thing that I would encourage you to do if you're wondering things like this, like would this make for a good short? What makes a good short? I would actually encourage you to go on TikTok and spend about 30 minutes to an hour just swiping through videos and make note of all the ones that you like the most. What ones made you smile? What ones made you laugh? What ones made you think? And you could probably hit like or bookmark them somehow and go back. I don't use TikTok a whole lot, but I did do this as an exercise. And what I noticed was exactly what Rob's saying. Like when it comes to short form content, you want that wow moment. You want something shocking or something funny. And it's going to be tough if you are someone who does long form piano covers, for example. It's going to be tough to try and just make a shorter version of that. But is there anything you can do that is very impressive and doesn't take long to get that light bulb in somebody, as they're scrolling through different shorts. Like if you could play the piano really fast or something, if your fingers just flying on the keys, like what visually can you do to get people to stop swiping for a moment?
Or playing songs with an instrument that doesn't fit the genre. Like I don't know, play Megadeth on a ukulele. I'm terrible at music, so I don't even know if that reference made any sense. But like maybe playing Beethoven's Seventh Symphony on a recorder.
But think about it this way
Silly
too.
Things like that.
You want that song to be instantly recognizable.
Yes.
You have a second to get somebody's attention. So that hook better be just indisputable. Like I know exactly what this is, and I can't believe someone's playing it on a piano. That's the kind of thing that's going to really thrive in the short form space.
I just brought this question because it's a good one from Ben B Gamer. What do you guys use to live stream and put comments on screen? Is it OBS? So today it is not OBS or Stream Labs. Today we are using something called StreamYard, which I would say, if I was going to rate it, it is like an 8 out of 10. It's almost perfect, but it's just missing a few key components, which means that we don't use it on a Tuesday live stream, because the Tuesday live stream is a little more complicated. There's more things going on, and that's why we need to use Streamlabs on a Tuesday. But ultimately, I want to transition over to this because it is so easy to use. And as you say, you can do this where we can just click on this and bring up anybody's questions. Like so, very easy to use. We can start using the ticker at the bottom and all of these wonderful things. And it also means that Dan and myself can produce at the same time. So we're both in control of a live stream. So if you want, I've just removed Dan from the live stream, but I think Dan can add himself. I don't know if you can hear me now.
No, I can.
There you go. So Dan can add himself, which is, and he can move us all over the place.
Yeah.
This is free, I think, to a certain extent. I think if you want to start using custom branding and logos and whatnot, then it's $50 a month. But there is a perfectly good free version for you to test out. And so those are my thoughts, Dan. What do you think of this?
I would love to transition to this on Tuesdays for a few reasons. Like if Rob drops right now, but he's the host of the live stream, we can all still keep going. One of us can pull up our screen instead. Or if let's say like you and Travis are going back and forth during channel audits, and he's like, oh, look, I got to show you this channel that's doing this thing here. Look, here's my screen for a second. There's so many cool things you can do that would change the show completely. We're taking advantage of it for these Wednesday streams, but since it's such a technical live stream, hopefully one day StreamYard will catch up with our needs.
Looking at this, I might just try next Tuesday, Dan. I might try and do the live stream using StreamYards, because you're right as well in that it's browser based as well, so it's a very light load on your computer. You could do this on a Chromebook. You can do it on your mobile phone, which is incredible as well. We're not not sponsored or anything. I know there are a lot of sponsorships of StreamYards, but we're using it and we really like it.
Yes. All right. You know what? This isn't a question we would normally answer, but I'm going to take it. I want to talk about this topic for a minute. Can you shout me out?
Hang on. Can you shout meh out?
Meh. So the reason we don't do shout outs generally, we shout you out by saying your name, saying hello to you, but we don't really tell people go watch this channel, is because you don't really want our audience hanging around on your channel, because our audience is here with a different goal than the one you're trying to attract. And that's really important. If let's say all like 200 people right now subscribe to your channel that are here, what tends to happen is that none of them actually did it because they want to watch your content. They did it because, this is a fun thing that everyone's doing. Sure, I'll subscribe. That'll be cool. And YouTube is going to start pushing their videos or your videos to them. And they're going to be like, well, I don't really like these. And YouTube is going to notice that these videos are getting ignored. And now you've just hurt your channel in the sense of you have to kind of recover from that over time. A whole bunch of people were recommended your videos. They didn't click on them. And those are signals you don't want to be sending to YouTube. So for anybody out there, don't try and grow your channel by like, maybe if a big channel shouts me out, maybe if a big channel promotes my channel, that can work if you collaborate with other channels in your niche. But having a channel like ours shout out a channel just at random that has nothing to do with what this audience is here to see, that can be potentially a problem for your channel.
All right, I'm going to try this. Hopefully it works, and hopefully you can hear the audio on it. This is a video I made over 3 years ago, and it's about a similar thing. It's about sub for sub, but this is how I sum up this type of thing.
Hey, YouTuber. Hey.
Fancy doing sub for sub?
Absolutely. Great.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And that's it. That's it. It's like, all right, you get the shout out, you get the sub for sub. What happens next? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I'm not trying to put this person or anyone else on blast. It's just a good practice to, to keep in mind. You want to be attracting an audience that is interested in the things you're trying to show them.
All right, let's do some milestone shout outs here. I'm just going to refresh my screen, and we're going to congratulate the following people who've used the free vidIQ achievements tool to say that How to Use has hit 70,000 views in the last week. So congratulations to you, How to Use. We've got a barrage of achievements here for just one happy boy. They've got 500 hours watched, 6,000 likes, 100 uploads, 500 subscribers, and 100,000 views. Who have we got next here, Dan?
Escape, walk, ride, hike with 100,000 views of them escaping from various circumstance. Zeldom has hit 10,000 subscribers.
Well done, Zeldom.
Not surprised at all. Great channel. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Video essays from All About Zelda. And I'm going to say Nelmsy. These must be new ones because I know we did some shout outs for you last week, but these look as if they're in the last week. So 1,000 hours watched. You're a quarter of a way to monetization there. You also had 3,000 likes.
Nice.
And 25,000 views as well. And
nice.
Luke does everything. He does so much. He's uploaded 100 times. And then Dan, a couple more from you, maybe.
MDeal. 2,000 views. Congratulations to you on 2,000 views. What happened to the certificate?
This guy's got a custom certificate, which just hasn't quite worked.
2,000 subscribers for the meaning of nerd.
Yeah, let's cross that off. And last but not least at the moment,
500 subscribers for No Time Gamer. Congrats.
Actually, I will do one more because this is from our moderator, Mr. Doberman, right? So we talk about the original gangsters in terms of people watching vidIQ. The Doberman guy is one of the original moderators. He may have been the first non-vidIQ moderator I brought onto a channel. I can't quite remember. But he's discovered shorts and his channel is blowing up. He keeps sending me Twitter DMs showing how like he's getting 100,000 views an hour. And I'm just like,
wow.
Why can't I do this myself? And now he's got 6.5 million views on April the 13th. So congratulations to you, Doberman. We'll do some more, by the way. We'll do some more maybe in half an hour just before Dan has to depart. So yeah, hashtag vidIQ milestones at vidIQ on Twitter. Let's pick another question, Dan.
Okay. Let's see here. All right. This one we could probably talk about for a minute. Today is when I decided to make a YouTube channel. So welcome to YouTube. Congratulations. And having trouble deciding what kind of content to post and various complications associated with it. Any suggestions or tips? So this really comes down to you and the things you're passionate about, the things you are knowledgeable about. And out of all those things, because as people, generally speaking, that's not just one thing, which one of those do you feel like you can make a bunch of content about and you'd have fun making a bunch of content about? It's also important as a general rule not to, unless you just want to experiment with YouTube, no harm in just trying this, but try not to make it a long-term strategy to dive into all these different things that you're excited about talking about. You want your channel to be as focused as possible because that's going to help you build an audience early on. And then from there, we always talk about niching out. You can always slowly expand into other things later on in your YouTube journey. those are just some very general tips out of that thought cloud I just posted there. So what do you think?
Navanshi, welcome to YouTube. I echo what Dan says there. My first suggestion would be to you, don't overthink anything right now. Press record and start making content. What content should you make right now? Whatever you are most passionate about and you think you have the most knowledge on and you think you could talk about best to begin with. What I'm also going to suggest here is, this is my personal opinion, and there's a video coming out about this tomorrow, but somebody who has 30 million subscribers agrees with me on this. Early quantity leads to future quality. So if you were thinking of doing maybe one video this week in your first week on YouTube, I would challenge you to stretch it to maybe 2, possibly 3, but don't burn yourself out doing that. Because what you're going to learn is starting and finishing a YouTube project, and you want to do that as many times as possible, as quickly as possible, to increase your YouTube skill set. And this might seem like I'm saying focus on yourself, not your audience to begin with. And I am actually right in what I say there in my own belief, because I think to begin with, you need to find out whether or not you enjoy making YouTube content. Because if you want to make a success out of your channel and maybe turn it into a business and a future career, you're going to be making a hell of a lot of YouTube videos. So you need to know whether you enjoy that, because it's a different thing to enjoy watching videos and say, I can do that, to actually doing it yourself. Because a YouTube channel is like running a business. So that's why I think as much as you can listen to us and watch our videos and other YouTube educators, I'm going to hammer the table as I do this, nothing beats experience. So get out there, press record, press publish. That is my TED Talk today. Thank you.
All right. What do we got? Okay, here. Is there any way to successfully advertise to get subs? It seems as only reaction channels and gaming channels get subs.
Is it being advertised by using Google Ads? In which case, no, we would never recommend paying ads for that type of thing.
There's no good way to buy success on YouTube. I mean, you could point to certain things, but organic growth is king. So if you can certainly buy views in the sense of, like Rob said, Google AdSense. You can make your videos into ads and have them all over the place. All you're doing though is, creating views from folks who likely won't hit subscribe. They're not going to stop what they were originally doing on YouTube. And it's just no way to really grow. If you want to get subscribers, it's all about making good content that connects with an audience. And that's why we're always talking about niching down. That's why we're always talking about, like Rob's saying, quantity over quality when you're first starting. Make as many videos as you can. Learn everything you can learn. Get all your mistakes out of the way early is how I like to think of it. And, over time, you'll find a good rhythm that works for you. And with everything you've learned, your videos will go up in quality regardless of how often you post. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, again, just random string of consciousness here on this topic, because I want to make sure I say the right things. But what are your thoughts on this?
Think less about the subscriber number and try and answer this question. How can I get that viewer who watched this video to watch another video on my channel, whether it be something I've already made or what I'm going to make in the future? Because what we're talking about there is a far more valuable metric, which is return viewers. When they start to come back and watch your content, yes, they may press subscribe at some point, and you just get that as a natural flow of YouTube itself. But focus more on the viewer. And so that goes back to the typical things of channel focus and your niche, making sure that you trigger in that viewer's head time and time again. Oh, Square Table Degenerates podcast has made another video. I'm going to go watch it. Oh, you're showing me these analytics, Dan. I'm getting nervous and stuff.
Rob gets sick when I show this page on the vidIQ channel. But I wanted to bring it up again because the other thing to keep in mind too is subscribers are not where it's at. Where it's at is returning viewers. Think about how many channels you watch on YouTube. How many of those are you actually subscribed to? The answer for a lot of people is, oh, wow, actually not a lot. Because you don't need to subscribe to a channel to be surfaced its most frequent, or not frequent, it's most up-to-date videos. You know, YouTube pushes them to you. It has YouTube. I've noticed for me, certain videos get pushed to me at certain times of the day. It knows I like to listen to podcasts in the start of my day. It knows towards the end of the day I'll watch like a Mr. Beast video or something funny like that. And I'm noticing my recommendations throughout the day are jiving with how my content viewing habits change throughout the day. So I'm not subscribed to most of the channels I watch, and I am a returning viewer of all of them. This metric right here, what it does is it tells you exactly on this day how many people returned to your channel who've been here before and how many people were new to your channel. And I want you to know this, because getting hung up on the subscriber number is something we shouldn't have been doing from the get-go, from the outset. But even now, even less of an excuse to get held up on that magic number, subscribers. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Dan, go to overview. This might be a little interesting thing to look at here. And click on subscribers. This is why you shouldn't worry too much about subscribers. It's because YouTube audits your channel and gets rid of subscribers, which is a bit terrifying when you're sort of working towards 1 million subscribers and you're thinking you may hit this by the end of the year. And then YouTube goes, no, delete. And now I'm really not sure if I'm going to hit 1 million subscribers. But I know that we're getting 2 million views a month, and that's what I'm more focused on. Except for when I say stuff like that.
The last thing I'll say is it sounds like, given the name of your channel, that you primarily are a podcasting channel, which is cool. But I think you should look into some strategies that other podcasting channels are doing, because it can be tough to take an hour-long podcast and turn it into a video that ranks well in search and gets a lot of people clicking. I think a lot of podcasting channels do this very well, where they take segments from their podcast and turn them into shorter videos, maybe 5-minute videos. And it's a way to kind of promote the podcast without just relying on just a solid episode of an hour long or 45 minutes, whatever it is, on carrying your entire channel.
Let's take this one from Westy Radio as a general conversation about monetization. Your channel qualified for YPP. Congratulations, first of all, on that. But your niche is ambience and sleep. Rarely gains monetization. How do I ensure I qualify? Also, what do you recommend for a channel that has blown up so quickly? So let's talk first of all about this is not a channel audit, by the way. And Dan and I are not YouTube employees. So we're going to give you our best guess answers here as to why potentially this channel might not get monetization. And it's because I think there's potential reuse content here, because I look at the Harry Potter lo-fi beats one on that. That's a very familiar graphic that I've seen elsewhere. Mm-hmm. I see that this video is blown up with 100,000 views, but it has Harry Styles in the thumbnail. Does that mean you're using Harry Styles music in some way? I also see Calm down there. I know that's a relaxation app. So are you using footage or content from them? I don't know the answer to that, but as I guess a monetization compliancy YouTube employee, on the surface level, I'll be looking at these things and thinking, I'm not sure what's going on here. Now, I would maybe watch the video and listen to it and then make judgments, but we're not going to do it here because we don't want to potentially get hit with copyright. So this is like, it could potentially be seen as unoriginal or reused content. So that's why it might not qualify. I think your best bet here is to maybe to do some YouTube searches on people who've had experience with this. I'm sure there's other relaxation channels that have had to tackle the monetization question. In terms of what do you recommend for a channel that's blown up? Well, you have this one outlier here, video here. I would do more content similar to this if it doesn't fall within the realms of copyright infringement and claims and whatnot. I'm going to click on this video and I'm going to mute it very quickly, just see if I can get a better idea. Dan, if you got anything to add, do so now.
Just like that kind of hard truth of like you
see, it's this bit. It's this bit
Yeah.
that kind of worries me, in that it, by you putting this in there, and again, I may be wrong, but by you putting this in there, it seems to suggest to me that you know that this might not be content that you're allowed to use, and so you're just adding this in there as a somewhat of a disclaimer, which never works, by the way. YouTube employees, I don't think,
Yeah.
are reading descriptions. They're just going to judge it on the content themselves.
Even if they do, it doesn't change their terms of service. We're hoping to have a legal expert on this
good one, Dan.
on this very live stream here soon, and we'll let you guys know closer to when we get to that. But the person in is called the name of this person is Emily D. Baker, and we actually interviewed her on Tube Talk. So for now, for the time being, you can go find that episode of Tube Talk and give it a listen. And we talk about stuff like this. We talk about copyright quite a bit. And, based on just our conversation with her, unfortunately, to answer your question, it's just the hard truth of, in my opinion, you can't monetize a channel like this in its current form. If it is what I think it is, as we're saying, we don't know because we're not going to listen to it. But
looking down the right-hand side, there are two what looks to be very similar videos from this car map, and they're from different creators. Mm-hmm. So are they doing exactly the same thing as well?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like this channel is one that would be like, I've always wanted to like have my own radio station or my own radio program. Maybe YouTube's a place I can do that. YouTube might not be the best place for that, or you might have to do it in line with YouTube's terms of service, which means you are foregoing monetization. You're doing it purely as a passion project, and hopefully, maybe one day that can turn into something else. Maybe you use it as some kind of portfolio to like work in radio or something like that. But I don't think you're going to be able to follow the traditional steps that a YouTube partner would get to follow because of the way the content is made.
This
what's in the content.
Drifts onto the topic of like faceless channels, and we see a lot of promotion of this idea of faceless channels, where you should just get some stock images and stock video, and then do a voiceover narration and maybe do some listicles and stuff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there are so many channels that have already done this type of thing. It does start to jump into the reused realm, if not copyright. And I certainly, Dan and myself, will always promote, and I think YouTube themselves have said in previous forum posts about the spirit of the creator and their original content. And so we're always going to encourage as much as possible to create original content. Yes, there's probably going to be some transformative stuff here and there, reactions and whatnot, but it has to have some of your own unique style and presence on there. And when I look at your channel on the surface, Westy Radio, it just looks as if you're taking other people's content and putting it on YouTube. Again, I apologize if I'm completely wrong at that, because we're looking at the channel for a couple of minutes and we're not listening to it and so forth. But that's the impression we get. Yeah. And if a YouTube partner program compliance employees looking at it, they may jump to the same, not jump, but they may come to the same conclusions as well. Because how long do you reckon they spend assessing channels? If there has to be a human reviewer for every single YPP channel, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. How many channels are applying for YPP every day? Probably thousands. How many people are assigned to look at these channels? Probably hundreds. I can't imagine somebody spending an hour vetting a channel. But again, I could be wrong because I'm not a YouTube employee.
A lot of big time like gaming channels have worried about one day the gaming industry deciding on a whim that all these let's plays and things people do, like, this is no longer allowed. The gaming industry sees a benefit of letting folks become partnered monetized creators while playing with their intellectual property on their own YouTube channels. And as a gamer myself, I'm very thankful for that. But I also can't be mad if one day every single one of them wakes up and says, no more of this. We don't see the benefit anymore. The music industry has not come around. I don't think they ever will, to be honest. And it's just a tough situation to be in, but I can relate to it being someone that's made gaming content before and having that anxiety. Certain games, certain companies have in the past been very like, no, none of that. And it's taken some convincing to get them on board.
I would disagree a little bit with you there in the music industry in terms of
they are coming around.
TikTok and YouTube have now signed agreements for short form content. I think long form content is still probably going to be a bit of a no-no. Or YouTube are going to, music publishers are going to make sure they get a big slice of the pie of a revenue, so that the split then becomes maybe 33% YouTube, 50% the music publisher, and then 15% is left for the creator themselves.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said that in such a blanket way, because yes, YouTube Shorts are even getting licensed music, which is fantastic, but that doesn't, they're going to be transformative enough to where I think the music industry is even cool with it, and they get a cut of it, which is great. They're never going to be okay with somebody just playing a bunch of songs and adding nothing to it. And that's the problem for these channels.
I think Nintendo have threatened to do this multiple times, haven't they? Where all of a sudden they've changed their copyright usage on some of their games, and wasn't it on Twitch I remember or it was very hard 5 years ago for you to play Nintendo games without them sticking copyright claims on your content, like first party stuff anyway. Yeah,
any first party Nintendo title, and then eventually they made their own partnership program.
Yeah,
and I don't think that went too well. I think nowadays, I haven't kept up now, but I think nowadays they're more like everybody else. We're fine. Player games, do whatever you're going to do, because the marketing is there. It's for them. They get it now. It's free marketing.
Spherical Gaming asks, what would you consider to be a good click-through rate? Mine typically ranges from 4 to 10% and drops off as the video ages to around about 1.5 to 3%. All right, this is typical. Give me a number and I want to aim for it. Question. YouTube suggests that typical click-through rate is between 2 and 10%, but none of that means anything. What you need to do, Spherical Gaming, is benchmark and be a bit more specific with your click-through rate. I would say the average click-through rate for vidIQ is around about 5 to 6%. So I'm within the 1% bracket there in the first 24 hours. So what we should be aiming to do is increase that click-through rate to maybe 8 or 10% over the next 6 to 12 months. Now, if that happens, then YouTube is going to start sharing your content to a wider audience. And because that wider audience is not as familiar with your content, they're less likely to click, which means that your click-through rate goes down. So you're trying to reach a number which is fluid and static depending on the success of your channel. Ultimately, you want to see your kind of click-through rate going sort of up and down, but your impressions, that's how much YouTube is sharing your content, going up, because it's free advertising. So that's the key there. Click-through rate may stay similar throughout your YouTube journey, a few fluctuations, but if impressions are going up, then you're doing the right things. And if the click-through rate is going down on a video and you still think it has value, then maybe you want to think about changing the title and the thumbnail if it's not performing that well.
Got another question here. I'm a gaming channel, which is doing well for views. However, my audience retention is my letdown. Do you have any tips on how to extend audience retention? So
I ain't got any tips because I struggle with that with vidIQ. Desperately trying to fix that. Desperately trying to fix that right now.
We do struggle with that. Now, so gaming guides, the value is implied in the name of your channel. So I'm going to assume that when you make a video, it is intended to help people learn about the game. So if your video starts out and your intro is really long, that's going to bust your retention. And I mean, as soon as the video starts, if there's a 10-second thing where it's your logo all animated with loud music, it's just too much time with not getting to the point. Even if you're not doing that, a lot of things that people do is they tend to sit for a little while and just chat about what's going to happen in the video today. Hey, I'm here and I'm Game Guides, and today we're taking a look at Minecraft. Now, if you don't know, Minecraft is this game, and it's not really getting to the point. What you want to do is try and open the video in the first second with something happening, something interesting, something that we've been trying here. Rob's done this in a number of videos now, where he'll take a segment from later in the video and start the video with that. And it says coming up in the corner. And this is a tactic that a lot of gaming channels do too. They take one of the funniest moments later in the video and they stick it to the front. And you might be thinking, well, what if that might spoil something? But if people never get there anyway, at least you have your funniest bit at the front of the video, and it's a strong hook. Now people know some situation got you into trouble. I'm throwing everything at you all at once because I've seen all of these things in mistake form, and I'm just trying to remember all the mistakes I've seen. But the biggest thing you can do is keeping your audience engaged and making sure your hook is as strong as possible. Keep that hockey stick shape as little as possible on your retention graph, because that's, you can't get those viewers back. Once they click and they click away, YouTube takes it as a signal. Oh, you didn't like that video. Okay, got it. I'm not going to show you that one anymore. Those viewers don't come back.
I'm happy to be completely transparent with our analytics now. I've made that video on Monday. I'm happy to be vulnerable. I'm not perfect. This is the performance of our videos, first 24 hours, like a list of them. And you can see that our average view percentage is around about 40%. Sometimes it drops below that. If it's a longer video, we'll get more watch time, but the view duration will fall. And I want to try and get this to 50% and above on most of our videos. Now, it may be that I'm trying to succeed in an impossible task because the nature of education content means that people are, have a lot less loyalty. If they don't get what they want in the first couple of moments of a video, they'll abandon it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to try my damn hardest to try and improve that. So what we need to do here is click on one of the videos, go to the analytics. And as you say, Dan, we're going to be looking at these first 30 seconds and saying, all right, the average here for us is 60%. So I'm losing more than a third of the audience in the first 30 seconds. And I'm not getting them back. They are gone. I'm not really interested in the rest of this right now because it's kind of fairly flat. That seems all right. I need to fix this mountain right now. And I want to try and get it to maybe 70%. This is why I'm experimenting with all of these different intros and things. So that's what I would be looking at. The one that I showed you with a long list of average view duration, and then maybe looking at individual ones. And just to go into this a little bit more detail, this is where I think maybe I am trying to fix an impossible job, because according to similar videos in our space, we're above average. I don't know, Dan. What do you reckon we can do? Maybe I should dance. Maybe I should flex. Maybe I should, I don't know, learn a new trick the beginning of every video. Guys, you tell me, what should I do to increase audience duration?
It's a struggle for everybody. And I think that that video in particular has what I would say is very average for a lot of content creators of, 30, 40%. We all want to strive for about 50 if we can, and bring it up from there. But it's hard to even hit that benchmark sometimes. And so another bit of advice I could give you is that keep your videos as long as they possibly need to be. Meaning, even though short, or short,
2 ways of looking at it. Yeah.
Even though you don't want to sacrifice watch time, because we all need that. You don't want to, fluff your video up for the sake of getting that watch time, because people can tell when you're doing that and they disengage and they leave the video. Look at that retention graph that Rob brought up and look for the points where there's a little bit of a dip and scrutinize that. Think to yourself, was my voice kind of changing there a little bit? Did I say something that made people think, yeah, this video's ending? Any of those signals, you have to really kind of, wait a little bit, get away from your content, get some separation, and then go back in later on when you're analyzing it and try to remember those mistakes you might have made for the future. Like this is just one of the ways you can improve over time. Scrutinize your own content, and hopefully you'll start to notice a pattern after looking at enough of these.
I think this is a really good question, this one. The meaning of nerd asks. I know this is more specific, but my thumbnails take me hours to make, but the CTR is still pretty low. I've already applied all of the great advice you gave me, but still nothing. Any advice? A meaning of nerd, I'd love to know what your click-through rate is, actually, if you give me a number. Again, we're not going to try and do a channel audit here, Dan, but let's bring this one up and hide the question for a second. So on the face of it, these thumbnails look pretty damn good, don't they? You can tell that a lot of time has been put into them. I guess what might be missing here is intrigue, because a lot of these say the philosophy of something. My response to that as a new visitor to your channel is, so what? What are you trying to tell me here? The philosophy of Back to the Future. Can you be a bit more specific? Is there something maybe that you look at particularly in the philosophy of Back to the Future, like the timeline's all screwed up or the continuity is wrong? I'm wondering if you need to be a bit more specific in the hook. That would be my suggestion. And maybe is it I know this we often, maybe we don't say this all the time, but maybe you're spending a bit too long on the quality of the thumbnail rather than the messaging itself. These are all first impressions as I look at the channel. What do you think, Dan?
I was trying to see if they answered your question about what their click-through rate
was.
is. Yeah. Because it's hard not to look at this and then not audit the channel, because I wonder if are people who are interested in certain shows not interested in other shows being covered.
Yeah, there could be that.
Because that could certainly have an impact. So you have Animal Crossing video, and then you have Tom and Jerry, and then we see Bugs Bunny, and like I'm just seeing some disconnects there, so that could change the way your videos are recommended across YouTube as you try to appeal to
cartoon characters seem to be the more popular stuff, just looking at the channel briefly. And we should also mention as well that the view counts aren't too bad with 2,500 subscribers. I mean, this on the top row here, you're getting a nice number of views per video, which is good to see as well.
So apparently their click-through rate in most cases is between 2 and 5%.
Yeah, so that could be a good sign in that YouTube is sharing out your content to a lot of people. So you're getting a lot of impressions, but they're not clicking for some reason. And it may be just to a brand new person, how interesting is this to me? And I don't know.
Well, if you subscribe for some of the anime philosophy, and then YouTube's like, hey, this person likes the meaning of nerd, and then a Family Guy video pops up, that there's a lost click right there. If that particular viewer is only interested in the philosophy behind different anime shows they've watched, maybe they've never seen Family Guy, so they're not really interested. So I think topic could have something to do with it.
I mean, Zeldin might be a good example of like somebody who's, because it looks as if your content may be somewhat video essay type content. Again, just looking at it on the surface. And Zeldin does just video essays on just Zelda and nothing else. And he has a really good core following. And he occasionally has these videos that are really spiky in terms of views and do really well. So maybe this is a question of your thumbnails. And maybe the problem isn't the thumbnails necessarily. Maybe it's just, as I say, the focus and the message of a thumbnail and a title. But we're just riffing here, as we often do, Dan and I.
Yeah. I like these thumbnails. I think for the topic, I mean, they work really well. The characters are cut out. They're nice and big. The font is easy to read. And, in a vacuum, like each one is intriguing. I could see watching some of those videos talking about like the darkest episodes of certain shows and things like that. But that's going to appeal individually to fans of that intellectual property. Star Wars fans will want to watch the Star Wars philosophies, and Marvel fans will want to watch the Marvel philosophies. And there's crossover, but you can't rely on that, and I think that's maybe part of the issue.
Take this one as an example, because I know I've watched Back to the Future, obviously. The philosophy of the Back to the Future trilogy doesn't set off any triggers of intrigue in my head. However, if you had an image of a sports almanac specifically, and how that was pivotal to the philosophy of Back to the Future, maybe that might generate more of excitement as somebody is just scrolling through a feed. That would, again, that's just a general thought on the thumbnail and the title. Yeah,
they could continue with the way they're doing it. Some videos are going to get more views than others. I think the videos will remain spiky. I really like the thumbnails. It's hard to look at those and identify, oh, well, there's your problem. There's the problem with the click-through rate.
I just think the philosophy of doesn't mean anything
Yeah.
without
Like,
context.
no one's really asking what was the philosophy behind, Back to the Future. But they are curious about the techniques they used for, showcasing time travel and their ideology behind all of that. So how did time travel work in Back to the Future?
Or was Biff Tannen really the hero of the film for some weird reason? Like, he had to do all of these bad things for Marty to get the girl in a truck at the end. I'm just trying to remember what happened in Back to the Future, to be honest.
It's been too long, I know. So hopefully that helps.
It makes me want to hum the theme tune as well. Let's move on to some more Twitter celebrations here.
Hey,
we'll do this one more time. I'll start with you this time, Dan. So who have we got here?
Cello 101 has 15,000 views. Congratulations.
Awesome stuff there.
How to Use got 70,000. Oh, I think we saw this one. So we only got one new one.
Hang on. Let me just refresh there. Is that right? Did everybody just give up after the first shout-outs? It looks as if they did. Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, there you go. Cello 101. Congratulations.
Cello 101. These are all from not today. So, yeah. All right. Remember, folks, maybe we'll just do it once a week then. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe once a week is enough.
All right. More questions then. More questions. Well, we've got another 10 minutes with you, Dan? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yes, to this question. Definitely go back and watch the beginning of the stream if you missed it, because I think that will help.
Yeah, start making custom thumbnails if you haven't already. Make sure you've verified your account to enable you to do so.
Okay, here we go. I do videos on restaurants and chocolate. YouTube pushes my chocolate videos more, but I like to do food videos. Should I start a new channel? I'm not confused the YouTube algorithm.
In short, yes.
Yes. We always kind of hesitate here, as Rob did not this time, but you just got to be careful with that. And the only reason is not the algorithm, it's the focus for you as a person. Do you have time to do 2 YouTube channels? If not, I would niche down to the chocolate videos, and hopefully one day, if you do come across that time, then yes, start a second channel. That just sounds like 2 different things. One sounds very specific and one sounds very broad. Yeah. And I think that's why YouTube's pushing the chocolate stuff. There's probably, you found a demand there. A lot of people like chocolate. There's a demand for more chocolate. Give them more chocolate.
This looks like a YouTube Shorts channel as well. So I think it should be relatively easy to start a second channel as well.
Yeah.
You could have a desserts channel, a starters channel, a main course channel. You could have curry channel. There's all different manners of things that you can do, separating up each food type. I'm just clicking this one because I saw the first bit. This question is for both of you from Make Crafts and Fun. How long have you been doing YouTube? Not necessarily on vidIQ, just when was the first time you pressed that magical publish button? You make amazing videos. So I think the first video I published was in 2007 or 8. And this is going to be a controversial revelation here. The first things I were doing were kind of mashups and compilations of other people's content. So yeah, using other people's copyrighted content when I didn't have a clue what I was doing on YouTube. So that was in 2008. And then I kind of didn't make any more videos for 6 months to a year, but I kept getting emails in my Gmail account saying, you've got a comment or a subscriber. So those 2 mashup videos that I made, I think, were doing really well. And then I said, okay, I'm going to start to take YouTube a bit more seriously, but I'm going to start making my own content. And that's when I started to make tech videos back in 2011. I think I experimented a little bit until 2012, when I remember the tablet I got was an Asus Transformer Prime tablet, which was a tablet and a keyboard, so you could connect them together. And that's when I went uber focused and niched down onto that one tablet for like 50 videos. And that's when the channel started to grow. And that's when I figured out a little bit channel focus and whatnot. And then I made videos for, I think, 2 or 3 years until there's a video out on this actually on our channel. I made a single video about a vidIQ tool, at which point the CEO contacted me and asked me if I want to do some freelance work for vidIQ. I did for a couple of years, and then I joined vidIQ full-time in October 2017. Yes, I think I got the timeline right there. Dan, what about you?
Jeez. When I was very young, I would post videos to some channel that I don't think I have access to anymore, and I would use games as best I could, and I would try and make like music videos and stuff using copywritten music, and it didn't take long for YouTube's copyright stuff to start coming together by that time. I really don't remember the year. But I wasn't really serious about YouTube. Just that was the first time I pressed publish. I only got serious about it about 10 years ago with my gaming channel. And by serious, I mean it was still a hobby, still something I only did when I had some free time. And I made all the classic mistakes. I played tons of different games. I tried to keep them relatively within the same genre, but sometimes I didn't. And I got on board when Minecraft was really becoming like the new hotness on YouTube, and all these new creators were coming into the space at the time, and I was watching a lot of them, and I was really inspired by them. And, I tried to do a lot of the things I see other channels doing today, where those creators I was following were already getting very big, so they had the latitude to change games once in a while, to try different things like that. And their videos weren't necessarily searchable after a while. It was just them doing whatever they wanted. And I'm like, I'm going to do exactly what they're doing because they're successful and I'll be successful. And so I think my journey on YouTube became a very, very like stop and go because of that, because I wasn't seeing success, but I still enjoyed making videos. And then there was college, and then there was work, and then there was all these things going on. So yeah, for the last 10 years, I've been a YouTuber on and off until I think just before vidIQ, when I started to reevaluate.
This is the start of my YouTube journey right here. My oldest videos on the Video Gadgets Journal, 12 years ago. And then can you remember a program called Dance EJ? It was where you could put you had sound clips or beats, and you put them together. So I made I had this persona of MC click and drag, where you would click and drag a sound onto a track, and you create some tracks. And so I was just messing about with weird and random stuff. And then that's when the focus changed, when I started doing these Asus Transformer Prime videos. And yeah, I made a lot of them, as you can see. There's a focus. And then I moved on to the Nexus 7, which was the next tablet I got. And none of this, I think at the time I didn't have access to custom thumbnails, because I think you needed to be in a YouTube partner program to make custom thumbnails. Yeah. So it was there. And then I started making really terrible thumbnails, as you can see. And so, yeah, this is all from absolutely years and years and years ago, as you can see. And then when I look at my latest videos, and these are from 3 years ago now, I haven't made a video on my channel for nearly 3 years. Some pretty damn good thumbnails there. Quite like them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've still improved a little bit, but yeah, I don't think these are too bad. Although this color splash thing is a bit sickly.
I remember when that was popular. Yeah. I didn't get it. Why is everyone using this thing?
I think it's because that was when I first started to focus on thumbnails specifically, because before, as you can see, it was just icon and text.
Yeah.
And because I just couldn't be bothered making thumbnails, because I didn't think they were that important. But then I eventually got round to me being in front of camera, and then these sort of stylized shots where, look, the hero of the thumbnail is the product rather than myself on some of these. And that's an insight into the Video Gadgets Journal, if anyone's interested. That channel is not secret. You can see it. I don't know how to switch question, Dan, because I've lost this question. So if you can find another one.
Let's see. It's hard to, let's see here. There's so many very long questions.
I'll answer this one very quickly.
All right.
Yes, you can review memes on Reddit like PewDiePie does, but remember this: PewDiePie is the largest individual creator on YouTube, and he's already doing that. There's many other creators who are doing that as well. What are you going to add to this topic of reviewing memes on Reddit that are different to other creators that have already done so? Because why is a viewer going to choose you over PewDiePie or other successful creators on that? You got to determine what's your unique selling points, your USP of Reddit meme reviews.
How would you advise doing a thumbnail for a cleaning channel? A few shots showing cleaning or one shot to be simple? I would do a search for the hashtag clean with me. I think this was something that was trending on YouTube, especially at the height of the pandemic, and just see what the people in this space have been up to. Oh, here we go. I can see why you asked about multiple shots in one frame. Let's see here.
Yeah, that seems to be the topic style, isn't it? A montage of cleaning. I don't think these are that good.
I don't like them personally, but
I think a better thumbnail would be a focus on pouring stuff into the toilet. If I'm quite honest, there's a bit of a shock value to that, or scrubbing the oven hobs. But
yeah.
we're coming from a more general thumbnail point of view. Whereas there is a style here, certainly.
I would split the difference. Instead of 6, I would do 3.
Yeah.
That's how I would start. Because some of these, even the one-shot ones, oh, that's not even a one-shot one. Like they put the text in the middle and there's so much going on. I can't read the text and I can't see what's going on behind it.
Daryl, again, going back to his book, he does sometimes talk about organized clutter, where I think you could have a thumbnail like this with absolute chaos. But I feel as if it would be, instead of a text, you should be sat in that rubbish with your arms out in like a I give up style or similar.
Yeah. See, I like that idea. Some creators are having success with just like one picture and them mopping or something.
The other way to think of this as well is that if everybody's making these style of thumbnails, then you do something completely different to stand out, but it has to be of a high quality on top of that. So there is that juxtaposition approach. Like a lot of these are very bright, I've noticed as well, very, very clean. What if you did something with like a black background, something that's very a hard pivot? Worth experimenting, I think, as well.
Yeah, interesting niche though. I would have never expected that many thumbnails where they all look so similar with 6 different images in one thumbnail. I would always advise against that, but there's a niche where it's working.
I think it's the same in Dollarama hauls, where they'll have just lots of different items in different sections of a thumbnail.
Let's see here.
I'm just looking at your channel as well, Clean It with Rona, and you've made a good start. You're approaching 100 subscribers, and the view counts are pretty good as well. So you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. The thumbnails are very similar to the ones that we've just seen, but they're not quite as clean cut. Some of these, the text sometimes is impossible to read, but there were on a lot of those other thumbnails.
I have time for like one more.
All right, then. Make it a good one, Dan.
Okay. Here. Any tips on trying to grow an extremely competitive niche? I make good thumbnails, post relevant content, but don't get as many views. And that will happen. Extremely competitive niches include, since gaming's in your name, Minecraft and Fortnite and Apex Legends. So I would stick to doing as many high value videos as you can to start with. Teach people everything you know about that game. Because it's competitive, new people are very likely playing this game for the first time today, and they'll be playing it for the first time tomorrow. So don't take for granted the stuff that is very super early, in your knowledge, the first things you learned about. Think about those things. I have a lot of videos on this topic here at vidIQ, which I'd recommend. Not that I'm biased or anything, but I think past me had a script and did a good job of answering these questions. But current me, basically, it will be difficult, and that's kind of the path you've chosen with these very, very popular games. So make high value videos. Don't just be you playing the game. There's always time for that later. Try and fit in as many of these high value videos as you can. Don't make them too long, because a lot of people trying to answer a question don't want to sit through a 20-minute video to get that answer. Those are some general tips.
With competitive niches, there are various ways to differentiate yourself from the competition. And those could be being first on YouTube. So that's when there's news that's breaking, you try and get your content out before anyone else. That's something that I try and do frequently on with YouTube news. I've had this a couple of times now where people tell me, like, how on earth did you get that video out so quickly? And I'll say to them, how on earth are you so good at presenting in front of camera? So we all have our different trade-offs in terms of strengths and weaknesses. You can be bigger than anyone else in your topic. And by that, I mean, if somebody's going to do the top 10 female skins, which you've done on your channel, well, actually, why don't you do the top 25 or the top 50 or the top more than anybody else? So they simply can't compete with the comprehensiveness of your content. Or you can be better than anyone else. And I think that's the hardest thing to do. I have better quality content than anyone else. And that's why the best creators will rise to the top. You also have the traditional style of search intent pieces of content that you can do in terms of versus videos. So you've done, again, I'm just looking at your channel in the background. You have done a couple of versus videos that have done well, where you compare one weapon to another. I think it's Call of Duty Mobile, by the way, his channel, which, as you say, is very competitive. We did a channel audit, Dan, didn't we? I think it was not last week, 2 weeks ago, which was a Call of Duty Mobile channel. And they'd figured out doing tutorials on the best weapons or the best maps or something. And they were growing quite well within the niche, but I just can't remember the channel name, unfortunately. So yeah, if you go back 2 weeks in our live stream,
was it Ash?
That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yeah. But
Here,
we're never going to be able to find that if we search for.
Let me see if I can throw it on the screen real quick. Hold on, stand by. I think I can do this.
Dan May found them. I remember the thumbnail now that the channel name. Now that you mention it, but
okay, I got it here. Hold on. There we go. Boom. This was the one, right? This is Warzone.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Is it not? It's Call of Duty Warzone, is it?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But this is what they're doing. I mean, they've grown to over 1,000 subscribers in not, it's 4 months that they started. They were playing Cyberpunk and then decided to niche down to this. And every video is high value. Every video is all about, ways to help the viewer. And they're getting thousands of views, well over like 25,000 views here, well over their subscriber count. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
And I think also J4 Gaming COD-M, put things in perspective. Again, I'm looking at your channel in the background. You've got nearly 500 subscribers, but these are the view counts on your last videos. 150 views from yesterday, but then 800 views, 700 views, 250 views, 300 views, 184 views, 800 views, 3,500 views. So that might be one to look at specifically as a breakout video. You're actually doing really well for the size of your channel. And so don't feel as if you're struggling or not doing well just because it's a competitive niche. Your channel is actually growing quite nicely. So do bear that in mind as you continue to grow.
Yes. Well, I want to thank everybody for dropping in today and hanging out with us, answering your questions. It was a lot of fun, and we'll be back next week with another demonstration of one of our YouTube tools, as well as coming back to answer a bunch of your questions.
Thank you all, everybody. See you later.
See ya. Have a good one. Be safe as I stall to find this.